Good evening, everybody. This is Beyond the Buzzer 4. Wow. The NBA trade deadline today, Kyle. What's today's date, Kyle? I'm lost in words here.
That would be March 25th, 2021.
And I'm your host, Dane Thompson, with the show tonight. And not to mention, you know what? I'm just not the host of this show. I do have a co-host, and he's not really a co-host. He's actually the senior writer for cover UCF football for the 3pointconversion.com, the student of the game itself, my tag team partner, Mr. Kyle Nash. How you doing, sir?
What is going on, Danny Thompson? I like that I'm talking to the man who this time about 12, 11 hours ago said that it was a boring trade deadline day in the NBA, and he jinxed the whole damn thing.
Listen, there's nothing better than having everything set on fire. And especially in one city in the NBA, everything was set on fire. Also,
I need this beer. Hold on.
Also, big shout out to our main man, Bobby Blackjack, up in New Jersey. Bobby, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, eating dinner while you guys are doing the show, so enjoy.
Oh, dinner and a show. Look at this fancy guy.
Dinner and a show.
He takes stuff for dinner and a movie. All right, so for those who never watched the show before, welcome. For the leave, like, share, comment, face tag, everything else in between. For those who never watched the show, shame on you, but welcome at the same time. For the next hour or so. Yes, exactly. For the next hour or so of your life, myself and Kyle will talk about all things sports and also do things from a living humorous perspective as well, too. If you're in the chat, by all means, stop by, say hi, let us know that you're here, and where you're calling from, basically. Big shout out to our big sponsors in the corner. As you see, Valor at the top of my left-hand corner, which is at its@valor.us for all things gifts, marketing, music, and check out their work. Kyle, they've been actually doing work with the NBA on some of their transitions on some of the games the last couple of weeks.
Hey, cool. Maybe they could put together a cool ad campaign for somebody to actually, play for the Magic. I mean, what?
I mean, listen. Big shout out to my man Carlos Johnson in the chat. I was on Carlos' show last night talking trade deadline. Check out his show, the Black and White show. It's really hilarious. They're great guys over there. My man ate one of those. So I was on there last night talking about the Hornets and LaMelo Ball, and we'll get to that in a few minutes.
I hope you weren't predicting it was going to be boring.
Listen, we're talking about the Hornets in the deadline. We were talking about the whole entire NBA. And also, big shout out to our good, speaking of people giving shout outs to our good friends at Mentality Barbershop at 2611 North Pine Hills Road out in Orlando, Florida. Give Corey and Dio our love and tell them we said hello. And also, listen, Corey's a Dallas fan, and he's also a Florida State fan. He ain't doing too well right now.
He's going to be happy about Mackenzie Milton, and then he's going to realize that O-line's so bad he's going to get hurt again behind him.
Hey, listen. Speaking of things that are getting hurt right now, all right, in the city of Orlando, let's start with the NBA trade deadline.
Speaking of things getting hurt, the hearts of Magic fans everywhere.
This was coming, okay?
No, I'm glad you said that, Danny Thompson, because I was going to allude to the fact that you had said something about this so long ago. We were still in a terrestrial studio at 98.5 The Wire. Now we are here in the streaming world, and it has come to pass.
Listen, it was about to happen. So, what Kyle and I are going to do is we're going to go over the crazy NBA trade deadline because up to the point of about maybe 9 a.m. this morning, we were thinking this is going to be yawn fest because the only trade we really had was DeLon Wright going to the Sacramento Kings last night from Detroit for some cap space and, I don't know, second-round picks. Outside of that, we had P.J. Tucker being traded to Milwaukee. We had Trevor Ariza somehow finding a job in Miami. I didn't know Trevor Ariza even playing this year. All right. So what we're going to do is Kyle is going to lead off the trades, and I'm going to basically tell you why, and guess what? Why these things happen. Kyle?
Ranging from why to why? I think that's where it'll go there, too. Do you want to do this from the back of the day, or do you want to do it to start the day?
Kyle, I want you to go with the most interesting thing on your mind, because I know there was one thing you was asking me about earlier today. You want some explanations? We can start there first.
Yeah, I think it's very simple that the highlight of the day is the fire sale coming out of Orlando. What is it? Aaron Gordon, him leaving, not really a shock, but Vooch going out the door and they also traded away Nigerian princes, so it would feel like that the Magic are moving everybody up in here.
So what Orlando did say was the equivalent of a sale. Well, everything must go. Sale, must go. The only player Kyle left from the Rob Hennigan days, the Ilfame and Rob Hennigan days was Terrence Ross.
I was about to say T. Ross as my guess, and I'll tell you, if you saw his Twitter account, it's appropriate that he put that final scene from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where he's standing in the house by himself.
Listen,
And
there are no players left.
Carlton in the bathroom either, for the record.
Listen, there are no players left from the Rob Hennigan days, as the remaining players, Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Vucevic, were all traded within a 3-hour fire sale the Orlando Magic were putting on. And listen, people are wondering why these trades happened the way they did. The Magic weren't going to go anywhere. And I think at some point in time, even Aaron Gordon had mentioned it. It's the frustration of not just losing, but the injuries and the team not getting past where they were. The team had peaked out 2 years ago. Okay. One of the problems is when you peak out, you're not going to get any better. Aaron Gordon was, you had injuries to Jonathan Isaac over the last 2 years. Markelle Fultz had just a devastating injury when it seemed like he was about to have a career year, and the Magic, I think, were 6-1 at the time of his injury. Like I said, Isaac's been out for almost, you would say literally, Isaac has not played a full season at this point, right? And I don't think he's played enough games, even with the injuries, to count for a full season over 3 years. All right.
Yeah.
Chima Okeke is just now getting back after missing all of last season because he was hurt when they drafted him. Mo Bamba hasn't done much since he's been in the league because, between injuries, COVID, and just not developing because Vucevic is an all-star. And the Magic have just been a mess. So at some point in time, and Rodney might be right, at some point in time, it had to happen. Going into today, the Orlando Magic was not thinking about trading Nikola Vucevic unless the offer had to blow them away. Well, Kyle, the first step of the blow.
Oh, Rodney, don't steal my thunder. I was going to ask that in a minute. Damn it.
No, don't worry. We'll get to that. The first step of the implosion of the only thing that wasn't imploding was the eyesore at I-4 today. It's the only thing that didn't get blown up in Orlando. The first step was trading Kyle. Listen to this. Nikola Vucevic was the only player on his original team left after the Dwight Howard trade almost 8 years ago. Vucevic is the only player that hasn't moved. So the final piece of the Dwight Howard trade is finally not on the same original roster. Long time tell Nikola Vucevic, a guy who bleeds Orlando. And I think will go down as one of the greatest players in Magic history, even though he never got past the first round of a playoff series. Vucevic has been one of the best. I'll be honest with you, he might be in front of Tracy McGrady when it comes to all-time Magic players.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Something else, by the way, McGrady has never done is gotten past the first round, if I remember correctly.
No, he didn't. They were up 3-1 and blew a series. All right, but Vucevic, I think, to me, Kyle, if you really want to be honest, I think Vucevic might be in the top 5 all-time in franchise history.
I was going to ask top 5. Apparently, your answer is yes. Well, there you go.
I don't think he's ahead of Dwight. I don't think he's ahead of Shaq. I question whether he's ahead of Penny and T-Mac, but he's right there.
I put him ahead of T-Mac. I have kind of an anti-Penny bias because I think they should have gotten Chris Webber all along. But, the question should be had. Granted, I think Vooch has an advantage in longevity, but I would argue it's like, is he more significant than, let's say, Horace Grant even?
He's way more significant than Horace Grant.
I think so?
The significance of Horace Grant was the fact of Horace Grant was able to mature Shaq and Penny and Dennis Scott and Nick Harrison to turn them into a winner that could sit. Some stats don't mean everything. And I think Horace Grant's entire purpose of it was to be the guy to be the bridge gap. So Nikola Vucevic, like I said, standout guy who's been there, one of my favorite players to speak with in the league, was traded along with Al-Farouq Aminu to the Chicago Bulls today.
The Nigerian prince himself, yes, sir?
Yes, for the combination of Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter's expiring contract, and 2 first-round draft picks, which includes the Bulls' unprotected 2021, which is important, first-round pick this year, as well as a 2023 first-round pick. So, Kyle, here's the reason why this happened. The Magic needed to offer to blow them away. In the Magic's case, if you go, I remember when Wendell Carter Jr. worked out in Orlando, one of the few guys that did work out for the Magic that year, including also some guy named Marvin Bagley and Trae Young also worked out from that. I think it was Trae Young that year. No, Trae Young. So they were impressed with the way Wendell Carter worked out, and I think Steve Clifford and the staff, including Jeff Weltman and John Hammond, knew what they had with Wendell Carter, but unfortunately they took Mo Bamba that year because they saw the length in what they always draft, which is length. So they have kind of a familiarity with having, Wendell Carter kind of know where he is. Now, why Otto Porter? Let's be honest. Otto Porter has a $27 million expiring contract. That contract comes right off the books. And if they want to buy it out, they have the ability to buy it out. Porter's not a long-term solution, and Bulls fans are happy to get rid of him. The real prize of this deal, besides hoping that Carter's going to stay healthy, is the fact that the Bulls gave up 2 first-round picks. In a draft that is loaded, the Magic need all the help they can get. And anything that can help you get as much arsenal with hometown guy Cade Cunningham waiting in the draft is into the Magic's favor. All right, so the 2 first rounders is one thing. Wendell Carter is another thing. Like I said, Otto Porter Jr. And what do the Bulls get out of this? Well, here's what the Bulls transformed themselves in one afternoon. On top of giving a superstar to go, another all-star to go next to Zach LaVine, being a scoring machine, the Bulls have a consistent low post threat.
Well, let me stop you there, Danny. Let's set the stage a little bit for the Bulls, right? They're a 10th seed. They got a losing record in the East. With the way they bought in, and this is what you're going to tell me. So you think they've actually improved enough to be a true contender?
They're not. I think they're at a point where they can probably catch 6, because the East is so log jammed right now between 4 and 10. It's separated by not too many games right there. And teams are
tell me how.
Teams are throwing white flags. The Bulls have talent everywhere, and they have a very good coach in Billy Donovan. Okay, the only thing the Bulls needed was consistency in the low post. Yes, Nikola Vucevic will not block shots and protect the paint, but the problem is now with Zach LaVine scoring almost 30 points a game, you have to guard Vucevic. And Kyle, look at the Bull. If you look at the Bulls starting 5 now, Tomas Satoransky is just a guy to make sure the ball gets around. Zach LaVine's the guy who's going to handle the ball. Patrick Williams is a young 19-year-old kid that does everything and is growing.
Let's not discount LaVine as a shooter, though.
No. LaVine is a 3-level scorer. He's turned himself into an upper echelon player in this league.
Yeah. I knew you knew that, but for the people at home, let's not discount that. Please continue.
The All-Star appearance was well warranted. He's well deserved.
Right.
Patrick Williams is a 19-year-old rookie that's going to basically be the best defender on the floor. He's a 2-way player, is still learning how to play offense, and he's only 19 years old. The kid's growing into his body. Lauri Markkanen is basically discount Dirk Nowitzki. All right, it is what it is. He's discount Dirk Nowitzki. If Dirk Nowitzki was basically at any type of secondhand grocery store, that's Lauri Markkanen at this point. All right,
he's the Sam's Club, Dirk.
No, he's not even Czech Cola Dirk Nowitzki right now. He's a bad. Okay, he's not even Czech Cola version. All right, but you add Nikola Vucevic on the low post. Okay, Al-Farouq Aminu can also play defense. So guess what? They have Al-Farouq Aminu, and now you have Thaddeus Young, who could throw in a defensive rotation on the front line.
Let's not throw away Vooch defensively. I mean, he's not Draymond Green or anything like that, but it's not like he's bad.
He gives effort. He gives extreme effort. The thing is, he tries hard. He might not have the most. He might not be the most athletic, but he does try, and that's what you need. You need a guy that's going to give effort. No, the Bulls ain't going to be keeping teams under 120, but the Bulls can score 130 at the same time. Kobe White now comes off the bench. It gets to be a hired gun off the bench. All right. The Bulls weren't finished with moves today. They added Troy Brown from the Washington Wizards, along with Mo Wagner, who was then shopped for Daniel Tice.
I was about to say, and then they got to deal with the Celtics too.
Daniel Tice.
Right.
Yeah, they added another defensive center in Daniel Tice to replace what they did with Wendell Carter Jr.
Okay.
So the Bulls have basically reinvented themselves in one afternoon. They're going to make a run at the playoffs. The real run is, are they going to try to catch Charlotte, Atlanta, New York for the 6th spot? They have the players to do it. And guess what? It's just going to take a little bit of time. I love what the Bulls did. I understand the first part of what the Magic are doing. They needed an offer that was too good to be true. Listen, Boston, Danny Ainge was going to try to fleece everything possible, okay?
Oh, yes.
Getting Vooch for anything he basically was trying to walk in there with a $1 bill, trying to buy a $100 item at a flea market. That's what he was trying to do.
Here's a bag of Skittles.
Yes, here's a bag of Skittles. Let me get this Xbox. All right, that's how this works in Danny Ainge's mind, all right? I got these magic jumping beans. Do they jump? They're magical. How do you know? I just know they're magical.
It says magic on the jersey. I know they can jump. All right, what you talking about?
So that's pretty much it. And another teams were trying to meet the draft pick offers. They wanted multiple first round picks. The Magic got that. All right. It's not the most attractive deal, but this kind of set the tone for the rest of the day. Trade number 2, Kyle. Let's continue. Let's go down the Magic dismantling part.
Yes. Well, okay. Well, if it's just the Magic, I mean, somebody's got to ask about arguably the most improved player on the roster of the past couple seasons, and one Evan Fournier, right?
Well, Evan Fournier is loved or hate by Magic fans, depending on who you ask.
Yeah,
Evan Fournier is averaging under 20 points a game this season, and that should be a beautiful thing to see for teams trying to find scoring. Magic fans just didn't understand how Evan Fournier is a 20-point a game scorer. He's not okay. He's not the flashiest 20-point a game scorer. And it just seems like some nights he gives you 25, and it's a quiet 25. But Evan Fournier is a ball player. If you want somebody who can create shots off the dribble in the games, Evan Fournier was the only guy on the Magic roster that can do it. All right. They traded him to Boston for 2 second-round picks. Now you're wondering, why is a 20-point a game scorer being traded for second-round picks at this point? Well, Boston had a trade exception they had to absorb. So guess what? That money was absorbed right then and there with the Gordon Hayward trade to Charlotte. So basically, now the Celtics traded Gordon Hayward for second-round picks and now Evan Fournier. Basically, that's what happened. They absorbed the trade exception they got from Charlotte to absorb Evan Fournier's contract. The Magic got second-round picks because guess what? He was walking out the door in July anyway. All right.
Yeah.
All right, the Magic had no intention on re-signing him. As much as Evan loved being in Orlando, there was just no intention to re-sign him for the type of money he was trying to command in the offseason, and I understand that. 2 second-round picks, it is what it is. You had to get rid of him. Magic fans thought he was going for first. It wasn't happening, not in this kind of a market, unless it's going to be a low first-round pick at this point.
So
Kyle, trade number 3 of the day.
So something that took us away from the Eastern Conference entirely before the day's end, and actually, I think this might have been one of the first Magic trades on the day. Maybe not. I don't know. But listen, the talk of trading Aaron Gordon has been something that's been going on for a while. And ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Danny, walk us through that.
Well, Aaron Gordon had asked for a trade request back in February.
Mm-hmm.
He was, and it wasn't public. Knowing Aaron Gordon, as many times been around him, Aaron's a very, very quiet, but he's also a loyal guy at the same time. Aaron's been through this, okay? Yes, like Vooch, just like Fournier, they have been through this foolishness, okay? They have been through a lot. Aaron was around when Tobias Harris was on this team, Victor Oladipo was on this team, and Kyle, can you imagine this team would have Vooch, Tobias Harris, Oladipo, and Aaron Gordon on the same team? They'd be a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference right now with just those 4 guys itself. Aaron was there to be part of a project that, during the Rob Hennigan years that was supposed to be, something special. The one thing Aaron didn't do was Aaron didn't turn into a superstar. But Aaron's an outstanding, multifaceted player that could do different things. And unfortunately, Aaron didn't want to go. He didn't want to go, but he knew it was time to go. At some point, he had to go. Well, there was rumors that he was going to go to Houston, and he kindly asked Magic management, "Don't send him to Houston." Okay, Houston must be the barren wasteland for sports teams and players wanting to go places. All right, nobody wants to play for the Texans, and nobody wants to play for the Rockets. All right, it is what it is. So the Rockets made the Magic made a phone call, and Aaron Gordon ended up with the Denver Nuggets. All right, what does Denver get? They get somebody who can guard LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard in a playoff series. Ding, 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 ding. Because
that's an excellent point by you, Danny Thompson.
Jerry and Grant couldn't do it last year, and that's what he was brought in for. Michael Porter Jr. ain't doing it, and Paul Millsap is 362 years old. All right, he's about the same age as the Barbers on coming to America and coming to America. He was getting his haircut from the same place. Okay, yes, Paul Millsap. And Paul Millsap's 426. He just turned 426. Okay, so that is where they're at right now. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, so with all these pieces moving all about, what the hell are the Magic going to put on the floor?
Well, tomorrow night is going to be hilarious because half those guys that they were traded for today will not be available in time for the game tomorrow.
That's kind of what I'm asking. Yeah.
So Aaron Gordon was traded to the Denver Nuggets. Like I said, Aaron Gordon will slide right to the power forward spot, right next to MVP candidate Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and a team that's going to run Jamal Murray. What it cost the Magic, what it cost the Denver Nuggets was Gary Harris's $20 million contract, the rights to R.J. Hampton, who I think would actually thrive. I loved R.J. Hampton. Kyle, R.J. played in the same Australian league last year as LaMelo Ball.
Okay.
R.J. Hampton was a top 5 high school talent, reclassified, was supposed to go to Texas Tech, decided to go spend a year in Australia. He averaged right around 9 points a game in Australia, a couple rebounds, and we played for New Zealand, but his was a little bit different type of feel than what LaMelo went through because his New Zealand team was actually a contender for a championship. So he was much more of a role player for that team than LaMelo being the star for a team that was 3-9 when he was on the court.
Wow.
Okay. Not to say his kid's not talented, and Kyle, he has a bounce on him. He's very familiar with the Orlando area. I think he has a chance to be a star. And the Magic also, guess what? Get another first-round pick out of the deal.
They need him.
Kyle, to answer your question, so the Magic basically unloading everybody, and all these players acquired ain't going to be available. What are the Magic going to do for Florida tomorrow night? Well,
Terrence Ross, St. Augustine. I call him St. Augustine just because that one shot. Mo Bamba, and damn it, I got nothing now.
You got Michael Carter-Williams, Shimo Kike, Terrence Ross,
right.
Mo Bamba, Kim Birch, whatever G League players that are back on the roster, the Magic Dragon. You might see Dante Marcatelli, and they might even bring Jeff Turner out of retirement because they'll be out of bodies tomorrow.
If not him, maybe Nick Anderson, who often accompanies Marcatelli, would
listen,
be.
Listen, they can.
Did you get a phone call, Danny Thompson?
No, I'm not in Florida any longer. But I'm sure they might call Nick Anderson to play a game. I mean, listen, they might even go find Reggie Theus if they need to, because the Magic are running low on bodies at this point. All right. What the Magic is signaling is basically throwing the white flag at this point. All right.
Yeah, I think we've established that.
And,
So go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Cal. Because I think you're about to ask me the same question I'm about to ask.
Oh no, I thought we were transitioning out. If you got a question, go ahead, bro.
The question you mentioned earlier was about Steve Clifford, his job.
Yes, thank you.
Steve Clifford, I don't think they're going to fire Steve Clifford this year, and here's the reason why. Steve Clifford's never had a healthy team to deal with. All right.
Also true. Yeah. And when he did, he made what was that ridiculous run to get them in the playoffs his first year. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, they had a great run to get the playoffs the first year. And last year, they made the playoffs last year when losing Jonathan Isaac. He's never had – and the thing is, guys like Jonathan Isaac, guys like Markelle Fultz, they play in the system perfectly. All right? Jonathan Isaac, when healthy, is one of the five – I would say is Kyle, and don't – I get throwing books at me. And the reason why people say it is because they haven't watched him play. Jonathan Isaac is one of the five game-changing defensive players in the NBA right now that can change the game defensively.
I'm not prepared to argue that. Yeah, that could be true.
But most
people
know.
We haven't seen lately.
You go back to last year before he got hurt again.
Yeah,
Isaac was one of three players league, Kyle. He's 6'11", that averaged over 2 blocks and almost 1.8 steals a game. And he's almost 7 foot tall. If he's not 7 foot tall by now, that's counting his hair. Isaac can guard multiple positions. He is long. He's lanky. He's a rebounder, and he's intimidating. The problem is he's very frail, which means he leads to injuries. If he's healthy, the Magic are a completely different team defensively, and that's what Steve Clifford's been preaching. If Mo Bamba can finally find some signs of health and figure his game out, with the length of him and Jonathan Isaac on the same front line, their hands can basically reach both sides of the court. That's how long they are as human beings. You have Markelle Fultz, you have RJ Hampton, you have Chikimo Kike, who's another 6'9" guy with extremely long arms. The Magic basically have hands across America with the guys on their roster. They're extremely long, which is what John Hellman and Jeff Weltman wanted. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but hi, Cade Cunningham. Hi, Jalen Green. The Magic had a chance to see Jalen Green during the G League bubble because it was in Orlando. Cade Cunningham went to high school in Mount Verde, which is basically has been top 5 pick you over the last 5 years because, I mean, you have Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, D'Angelo Russell, some guy named RJ Barrett. They've all been top 5 picks that have come from Mount Verde.
I mean, hey, if they can get somebody from out there who could shoot the damn rock, this could be the start of a legitimate transition. We'll see.
Well, Kyle, as a Magic fan, Cade Cunningham will remind you of a player that we Magic fans was hoping to get a healthy version of, and that's Grant Hill.
Oof.
He reminds me a lot of Duke Grant Hill. That's how good Cade Cunningham is.
I've heard somebody else make that comparison as well as you. And honestly, if you're talking about Grant Hill, I'll say this: I have that crazy year where the Pistons had the night chess piece for their logo.
The horse jerseys,
yeah. I got one of those with Grant Hill, so that should tell you my esteem for him.
Yes, but like I said, Cade Cunningham. But the difference between Cade Cunningham and Grant Hill is that Cade Cunningham, and you watch his games, I know it's kind of frustrating to watch at times, but he's a guy that turns on when he feels like it. Go watch the games. Go watch the conference tournament game, Kyle. 4 points in the first half, decides to cut it on, scores 25 in the second half, and it's all easy. It's just easy. All right, Kyle, let's continue the trade deadline. You pick the trade, we'll go down. Let's make a deal.
Rather than target a particular trade, there was another team that went precisely nuts in my mind with some of the picks that they managed to pull off. proving once again that while his hair is white instead of dark now, but it's still slicked back in a ponytail and somehow looking good, Pat Riley shows the league once again why he still can hunt and just changes the landscape a bit to get the Miami Heat to look a little bit better. Walk me through a little of that, brother.
Well, listen, up until about 2:45 this afternoon, the Miami Heat were chasing down Kyle Lowry. All right. They basically, up until about 2:30 this afternoon, Kyle Lowry was down between the LA Lakers and the Miami Heat. The reason why neither one of those deals happened was because there was one player on each team that the other team said, you know what, we're not trading. All right. The Miami Heat were not willing to give up Tyler Hero in any deal to get Kyle Lowry, and the Lakers were not willing to trade Taylor Horton Tucker, who kind of to me reminds me of like Kyle Kuzma's situation a few years ago, a guy that's a lot more talented than what his contract looks like, and the numbers don't match. Neither team was willing to bankroll themselves and put themselves in a financial hurt locker, and the Raptors did not want Duncan Robinson as a headliner in any package. I get it. So right around the end part of the afternoon, the Houston Rockets, a place where Victor Oladipo has been begging to go, decided to fire sale off Victor Oladipo for the equivalent of 3 Band-Aids and a cookout hamburger.
Didn't even get a pack of Skittles for that ish.
They didn't even get the whole cookout combo. All they got was the big double burger. No sides, no drink, no nothing.
They can get buns on it, bro. What the hell?
They went meatless on this trade. Bunless on this trade, okay? All right. The Houston Rockets trade Victor Oladipo for Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and the opportunity to have a pick swap. So, Kyle, for those scoring at home, the Houston Rockets, since November, has traded James Harden, okay, soon to be Hall of Fame James Harden, the guy, beard, guys.
The guy that Bobby worships because he thinks a team can win without being able to play defense in Brooklyn. Got it.
And he gets a triple-double almost every night he plays in Brooklyn.
And still loses by 40 points because they can't play defense. Got it.
Well, he didn't play last night, so you can't give him that.
I'm not talking about last night, no.
All right. So, Kyle, they trade James Harden, okay, perennial all-star. Right. And this is what they have in the roster to show for it. They have Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, Roddy Kukros, Dante Exum, and a multitude of draft picks and pick swaps.
Danny, listen, man. Like, I feel like I'm going to disappoint you with this, but like I've been trying to learn to pick up basketball and cover it a little bit better, being your co-host here on Beyond the Buzzer, as I have been for, over a year, 2 years now?
Almost a year now.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's not almost a year. We've beaten a year, sir. But the punchline is, I don't know who any of those guys are, dude. I'm sorry.
Hell,
I failed you.
Kyle, 90% of the NBA only knows Avery Bradley and maybe Kelly Olynyk. Kyle, basically, the Houston Rockets have acquired the flavor aid of drink players in the NBA for a bottle of Vuvico, okay? All right, Kyle, for a bottle of Ace of Spades, they ended up with tap water.
Oh, my God.
All right, the Rockets got tap water for James Harden. They traded Jarrett Allen and Karis LeVert away. They traded both of them away. And the Rockets are trying to fulfill a competitive team. And they were even considering buying out John Wall today. There was talks of John Wall being bought out at $120 million.
$120 million.
That's what he's owed left for his contract. And that would have been the biggest buyout in the history of the NBA if that would have happened. There was no way that was happening. But the Rockets basically have thrown the white flag. And I feel bad for Steven Silas. Kyle, when Steven Silas took the job, his first chance to be a head coach in the NBA, he was supposed to have James Harden and Russell Westbrook.
Woo, I got this. Let's win come on.
This man has Jason Tate and John Wall when he's healthy. Gone are PJ Tucker. Gone are James Harden. Gone is Victor Oladipo. Gone. The only person left besides John Wall is Clutch the Bear, and that's the mascot.
Clutch the Bear. By the way, interesting side note. You opened the conversation talking about the Raptors trying to move Kyle Lowry. As it would turn out, he's staying in Toronto, if I understand, right?
Yes, because Philadelphia decided the asking price was too high. The Raptors tried to fleece the Sixers, okay? They had a deal in place, but the Raptors wanted one more of the Sixers' young pieces. It was a combination of either Tyrese Maxey and defensive whiz Masai Tibasali was being asked to go back. The Sixers said no, and they decided to settle on George Hill, who's playing for his 93rd team in the NBA.
Right.
It seems like George Hill plays for a new damn team every year. All right. George Hill was part of a 3-team trade that sent George Hill to Philadelphia, that sent disgruntled Austin Rivers. Since when Austin Rivers has a chance to be disgruntled? Since Austin Rivers to Oklahoma City along with Tony Bradley, and the Knicks end up getting Terrence Ferguson, and they swapped second-round picks in the deal. George Hill gives the Sixers something they needed, which is a steady point guard off the bench, because of the fact of Shake Milton he's been really shaky. George Hill also can play on the floor with Ben Simmons, because George Hill is a lights-out shooter.
Right.
Works out great. The only bad part about the Sixers losing Tony Bradley was Bradley just had a hell of a game in Golden State the other night, Kyle. 18 points, 11 rebounds, and was perfect from the field because Joel Embiid was out. Now the Sixers have to rely on Embiid getting healthy and Dwight Howard to basically be your centers going forward in the stretch run. The Sixers did need some extra shooting, and they needed an extra true point guard and a ball handler, and George Hill was that. The Sixers just didn't want to give up all that for Kyle Lowry. And the other part about the deal is Kyle Lowry wanted financial security for whatever team he played for or was traded to. Mm-hmm. His agent was telling teams that he was going to be signed as 2 years at $50 million for a 36 going on 37-year-old point guard.
No. I mean, hey, let's put it this way. I think the Sixers played it right, obviously, and that was even before you brought up, that.
Yeah, there's no way I'm giving Kyle Lowry $50 million. I'm sorry, over 2 years. There's just no way. I don't care how much money he was making. And yes, he will be a Raptor going forward. Even though that press conference last night was really sad because everybody thought that was Kyle Lowry's last game for the Tampa Bay Raptors. Excuse me. I mean, Kyle, Kyle's presser was a 20-minute presser. How does this man go back to practice tomorrow?
That's a great question, Danny Thompson. But
Kyle's like saying, you're going to quit your job, and you're like, all right, it's my last day. I'm going to work, and you go to work and see him see that person next day at work. What the hell are you doing here?
I took you out to a goodbye lunch. Why the hell am I buying you friggin'?
Why are you in my office? I'm lying by. But yes, the Raptors who
I bought you steak for lunch. Why are you here?
The Raptors who were in sell mode say because they traded Norman Powell to Portland. Impending free agent Norman Powell is having a career year, was swapped to the Portland Trail Blazers for Gary Trent and the contract of Rodney Hood. Basically, two of the same players morphed into one. All right. Kyle, continue with the trades. Where you want to go next?
Well, before you go too far in, I want to go back quickly to the team that started all this conversation with our favorite long-haired, slick-back Pat Riley guy, Oladipo to the Heat. How big a deal is that?
Well, here's what the Heat got. They got an audition for Victor Oladipo to make sure that he's the guy that's going to be there long term. The best part about this deal is the Heat gave up nothing. All right, they gave up nothing. Kyle, you're in Florida, Kyle, so you understand what it is. They gave him up for 3 Crystal hamburgers. They didn't get the whole pack. They gave him up for 3 Crystal hamburgers. All right, so now the Heat in the situation, because now they're also the front runners from LaMarcus Aldridge, who got bought out earlier today. The Heat now control out a lineup that has Gordon Dragic at the point guard, you have Oladipo at the 2, Jimmy Butler at the 3, Bam Adebayo, and now potentially LaMarcus Aldridge. Or maybe even Andre Drummond.
I was going to ask you about him getting bought out and what that means.
That could be Andre Drummond's case. Listen. And then your bench has Tyler Hero. You still have Kendrick Nunn. You have Duncan Robinson, Trevor Ariza, Andre Iguodala. What the Heat have finally done is they went out and got every person who could possibly defend the Brooklyn Nets. They have plenty of guys with length, size, and ability to guard James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant in a 7-game series and just swap them all. Don't think that Jimmy Butler is going to want Kevin Durant from day one anyway. We all know that.
No doubt.
The real question the Heat had was who was going to guard Kyrie Irving? Because Kendrick Nunn is not guarding Kyrie Irving. Tyler Hero ain't guarding Kyrie Irving. Gordon Dragic's feet ain't going to let him guard Kyrie Irving in a playoff series. Yes, we all know where those two are at. Yes, and they're waiting on them. Miami's job, all Miami has to do is get to the 3 seed. That's it. Avoid Brooklyn to the conference finals. Make sure everybody's healthy. Yeah, Sean's point, Victor Oladipo's not a winner, but so is 90% of the NBA, but we're not discussing that part tonight.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. When you got what? the Warriors and Braun dominating the league for however long, there's a lot of people that aren't winners right now. Is Jimmy Butler a winner? I don't know.
Listen, Jimmy Butler. We got to think that Jimmy Butler willed this team to the finals last year.
Sure, but before that, he was I don't want to say locker cancer, but he was,
Jimmy Butler was just misunderstood.
He's misunderstood now, and maybe you knew that back then, Danny Thompson, but that was not his rep.
Well, the rep was he was this type of guy, but guess what? He is now the reason why the Sixers can't win anything, because the Sixers should have never got rid of Jimmy Butler in the first place.
Bingo. And to that end, maybe Oladipo is what makes Jimmy Butler a winner, and boom, they become a winner together. Still a great question, though. Nonetheless, I'm taking nothing from you there, Sean.
Well, no, Sean makes a question. Oladipo hasn't proven any teams are playing. Indiana was a playoff team before. They weren't a playoff team before Oladipo got there.
I'm going to have to disagree with that, too.
The only difference is that Oladipo was hurt the last 2 years, and in going to Houston, he didn't want to be there. No one wanted to go to Houston. Houston doesn't want to be in Houston. All right?
I think we made that pretty clear, haven't we?
All right. So at the end of the day, Oladipo is going to make Miami better. It's all about gelling, because here's the question: here's a proposition. Now Miami's now in the buyout market. Is it LaMarcus Aldridge, who they can use because they can slide Bam Adebayo to the 5 and have Aldridge be a stretch 4, or do they go get Andre Drummond and basically try to be able to have somebody to pound the paint, somebody to deal with someone who can attempt to deal with Joel Embiid, because Embiid has basically done his business to Drummond for the last 4 years. You got to have somebody to stop Drummond. You got somebody to stop Joel Embiid, and that might be
assuming
the guy.
He's on the court. Let's not make that a given here, folks. You can't help the club in the tub, and Embiid, that's been his problem. I think you'll agree with that.
It also gives Miami another guy who can score, that can create his own shot and score as well too. He doesn't have to be an outside threat, but he's a guy that's going to defend, another guy who can score when teams try to pack it on Jimmy Butler. If hero shots along with Duncan Robinson shots aren't going, another guy that can give you offense, another guy can take the pressure and load off Jimmy in the playoffs. And I think it's an outstanding move. And guess what? It's a rental. If it doesn't work, they don't have to re-sign him. You got to go for it at some point in time, because everybody is headed to Brooklyn, or everybody's trying to catch Philadelphia at this point. Go ahead, Kyle.
The final question with the Heat being, when they get past the Nets, who can't play defense, can they compete with whatever the West is going to produce?
Here's the one thing last year that the Heat could not do against the Lakers was they couldn't generate enough offense. All right. The Lakers were able to control the game, get the ball in the hands of Anthony Davis, who they had no answer for, because no one has an answer for health.
It's Anthony effing Davis.
And the thing was, Jimmy Butler had to try to do everything on both sides of the court. Remember, Gordon Dragic was hurt last year in the finals.
Sure.
All right. And that was a huge loss for them. Getting a guy like Victor Oladipo can help if the guards aren't scoring, because he can create his own shot. It doesn't force Jimmy Butler to have to basically guard LeBron James on one end and have to score 40 points on the other end to help his team win.
So long of the short, let's pretend we think Sean is right. We don't, because we've established he's improved in Indiana. But let's say we agree with him 100% he's right. Oladipo doesn't have to make the team better. He just has to provide another option and keep a team that's already good. I think that's something he's capable of doing.
Listen, I'm not asking Victor Oladipo to score 30 points a game. I'm asking Victor Oladipo to do the same thing that Brooklyn asked of James Harden. And that is, when we need you to go get points, can you go get them? Otherwise, can you do everything else correctly?
Granted,
can you play
at a lot smaller scale, but I see what you're saying.
But no, it's the same type of thing, because James Harden was not brought in to be a 35-point a game scorer in Brooklyn. His job is, Sean thinks he's right. Big shout out to the guy.
Get this guy out of here. Ask and answer. He's been
big shout out to Sean over there. Sean and the guys over the guys podcast that are on multiple nights a week on the Blackjack Television Network, which we're zooming 995.
Oh, see, that's why Bobby's getting you in here.
No, Sean's family.
Sean's cool. I got no people. I'm just talking.
Sean was probably the reason why that we can't find Nikes on the Nike app, because he's probably got them all in his house.
Boy.
Exactly. But no. So that's I think that, like I said, the Heat, if they end up with, like I said, Marcus Aldridge or Andre Drummond, that could be another thing. So Kyle, I'll zoom through the last couple of these trades before we get through the end. And Bobby,
if Phil Knight saw the guys' podcast with all of Sean's Nikes behind him, he'd be jealous.
Michael Jordan is jealous of the Jordans that Sean has at his house. Sean's got Jordans that Jordan hadn't even known about. He's got the G6. He got the G classified Jordans that are not even out yet.
He's going to see his backdrop and be like, and I took that personally.
Yeah, exactly. I took that personally. I got to find that somewhere. All right. So other trades of the day. The Denver Nuggets were not done because the Denver Nuggets acquired JaVale McGee earlier today for 2 second-round picks. Another guy who can also take some of the pressure off Nikola Jokic because they're going to need some depth at the center position. McGee was sought after by a lot of teams, including the Charlotte Hornets. The Brooklyn Nets were even after him at one point to solidify some depth. Even the Miami Heat were interested. He ends up in Denver, going back to a place where he started from. Listen, JaVale is actually can give you solid minutes off the bench. Kyle, did I miss any trades? Go through the book. Did I miss anything?
I mean, nothing that I'm worrying too much about, but I will look at it a little bit more closely. Hold on, there's Vucevic, sure.
Oh, Kyle, we forgot. Our good friend Lou Williams was traded today.
Oh, right. He came home for the Wings.
Listen, Rondo goes back to LA and Lou goes home to Magic City. It works out well for everybody. The Atlanta Hawks trade Rajon Rondo to the LA Clippers in exchange for Lou Williams and 2 second-round picks. So what does this mean? The Clippers need a point guard and somebody could play defense and spell Patrick Beverley. That's fine because Rondo didn't do much in Atlanta anyway, all right? Rondo was supposed to be a veteran leader in Atlanta, and I don't know, Rondo might have been eating Ludacris's restaurant, eating some the lemon pepper wings. It is what it is. Lou Williams gets to go back. It seems like everybody's going home. Lou Williams goes back to the place where he first started by going to his hometown. He played high school ball in Atlanta, was a McDonald's All-American in Marietta. Going back to Atlanta to a place where his familiar stomping grounds that don't mean at Magic City. He provides Atlanta another thing they needed. They needed another guard who was going to be consistent enough. Lou Williams, Kyle, Atlanta is loaded because Chris Dunn we due back sometime in April. Atlanta actually goes 11 deep and 11 good players deep.
Well, I was going to ask you as they go. I mean, they got Trae Young and a long list of stars. What is it that they're missing? Why can't they make their presence felt in the East?
They're healthy. Nate McMillan took over. They won their first 8 games before losing to the Clippers. And here's the thing: Atlanta just wasn't healthy. Bojan Bogdanovic hurt his kneecap literally in the Charlotte game back in I think it was early January. Hasn't played till right before the All-Star game. All right, Danilo Gallinari wasn't healthy. Well, he's never healthy anyway, but he hasn't been healthy at all. And Yeka Nkonku, the first-round pick, was being eased back in the rotation after being injured. Chris Dunn hasn't played 1 minute. Cam Reddish has been in and out of the lineup. And then also at the same time, you have the fact of DeAndre Hunter, who could have been a low-key all-star candidate, was out with his injury that missed almost 20-plus games, and the Hawks basically went from sugar to shit. Excuse my language in the show, but it's a family show. All right. Atlanta, they sacked the head coach. No offense to Lloyd Pierce. The team wasn't getting it done, and Atlanta was expecting playoffs. You bring in a guy, Nate McMillan, who's been around the league. Atlanta, guess what they start doing? They start playing defense. Yeah. Atlanta's defensive efficiency has went from one of the NBA's worst to a top 12 defense in the past 10 games. Why? Nate McMillan actually preaches defense, which allows people to fall into Clint Capella. And the other part is they're not asking Trae Young to score 35 points a game. John Collins is in the offense. Kevin Huerter is in the offense. Everybody's getting the offense, and the Hawks are getting healthy.
I was about to say, you've been talking about Collins and his suspension last year being such a big factor for that team.
They were 3-22.
Right.
They were 3-22. He was hurt last year.
Exactly.
He was hurt when he was suspended.
Yeah.
So Atlanta made a huge move, and Lou Williams gives another score off the bench, and also a guy that can take some of the offensive pressure off Trae Young in the backcourt. Kevin Huerter, Bojan Bogdanovic. Atlanta's loaded. If I'm a team in the Eastern Conference, I don't want to play Atlanta round 1. If I'm Brooklyn, if I'm Philadelphia, if I'm even Milwaukee, I want no part of Atlanta because Atlanta can come in waves. All right. I know Brooklyn can score, but Atlanta can score right with them. That's all I'm saying.
You mentioned the Bucks. Are we that worried about PJ Tucker moving from the Rockets to there?
No, I think PJ Tucker is a great move for the Bucks because here's the thing: the Bucks messed up anyway when the whole Bojan Bogdanovic trade thing happened before the NBA allowed it, which basically torpedoed the season because Bogdanovic would be the perfect fit next to Drew Holiday. All right, what PJ Tucker does bring is the toughness. All right, someone that will stand the Joel Embiid in the series, someone that will basically be the protector for Giannis. All right. For as big as Giannis is not a guy that's good. He's just kind of a casual type of guy that hoops when he needs to. PJ Tucker is basically a guy kind of like Charles Oakley was with the Knicks. All right.
Okay. An enforcer is what you mean to say.
Basically, he's a guy you don't want. He's a guy you want on your side going into a back alley. That's for sure.
Gotcha.
All right. Even though his shoe game is amazing, by the way. PJ PJ Tucker's not going to ask to score 20 points a game. What PJ Tucker's going to be asked to do is, if they had to play Kevin Durant in the series, he's going to want to be guarding Kevin Durant in the series. If he's got to go against Jimmy Butler, he's the one guarding Jimmy Butler. He's the guy that is going to take out the swingman and also in guard. Hell, the guy played center for the Rockets last year in the playoffs at 6'5".
I'm that tall for context. I mean,
yes, but he was guarding Anthony Davis in the playoffs because guess what? The Rockets decided that playing him at center was the right move.
No me gusta. I don't want to go. I don't want to defend Anthony Davis. Are you high?
I don't want to go against Nikola Jokic or Rudy Gobert in the playoffs, but guess what? That's what they did. Yeah, Kyle, I think I hit everything on the trade meter, did I?
Yeah, you got a lot of it. A lot of big notes on teams that didn't make moves. Interesting that the Timberwolves has opted not to make any moves involving assets such as Karl Anthony Towns. They want to see how the new coaching staff does.
Cat's gone in the summer. All right. Karl Anthony Towns will not be a Tim. The Timberwolves will dismantle his roster in the summer. I think Karl Anthony Towns, I think he's going to become a Knick. That's all I'm saying. D'Angelo Russell won't be there either. I think Russell will make his next round. I don't know where it's going to be. Yes, I think Karl Anthony Towns is going to be going to the Knicks. I think Knicks will put a package deal together to reunite Thibodeau and Karl Anthony Towns together in New York. The Knicks need star power. I don't think the Knicks will pay Julius Randle all that money. If they do, they'll do him and they'll ship him off for Randle. I
mean, listen, if I can get back to attending Magic games as somebody who's covering them again, with the Rona being reduced and my vaccinations being in place, if the cat is coming into the town on the regs playing for the Knicks, I'm good with that.
Listen, Cat's from New York. I think Cat wants to change the scenery, and I think anybody wants to be out of Minnesota. Other teams, like I said, we talked about Portland making their deal. The Golden State Warriors trade Marquise Chris and Brad Wanamaker for two meals from Waffle House. Wanamaker went to the Charlotte Hornets, and the Hornets fans be glad they made a trade. Not what you wanted, but they made a trade. Marquise Chris is going to San Antonio. Okay, that's what it is. All right. Listen. You'll rock with somebody that's going to give you 25 and 16 a night. Sorry, Carlos. It is what it is. Lakers would be a team that's in the buyout market. They were willing to offer and they wanted Kyle Lowry, but they weren't about to trade 5 players to get Kyle Lowry in any circumstances. It just wasn't happening, including gutting your entire bench and Dennis Schroeder at the same time. Yeah. They would have done it if Taylor Horton Tucker was not being impacted in the deal. Clippers got Rondo. The Suns. I don't think the Suns did anything. I don't think they needed to. I didn't see anything. Yeah. They did. I don't think they needed to. The Dallas Mavericks acquired JJ Redick today. Yes. And Nico Bellic for a bunch of role players and spare parts from the Dallas Mavericks, like Wes Iwundu and other players. What does it mean for Dallas? Dallas gets another shooter. Like they gotta get some kind of help for Luka. All right. JJ Redick is going to be a guy is a veteran, a guy that's a presence, a great guy in the locker room, and provides another shooter that could take some of the pressure off of Luka Doncic. Can you imagine JJ Redick getting screens from Luka? Ooh, and
that's fun.
All right. We talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder acquiring more draft picks than Kyle. The Thunder have 34 draft picks in the next 7 years. 17 first and 17 second round picks.
Hey, you said this next draft was loaded, bro. What you want?
They got
oh, there it is. Hi.
And Kyrie, speaking of Kyrie, happy birthday to Kyrie Irving. His birthday was on Tuesday. And that's not the reason why he's not with the Nets this week. Congratulations also to him and his fiance because they have a baby on the way.
Oh, congratulations. Happy birthday and good wishes to Kyrie Irving, even though he's not as good as Allen Iverson. Moving on.
We're not doing this tonight. All right.
You can be wrong in your wrongness as much as you want.
What?
Yeah. There you go. I say okay,
what, Bobby?
Kyrie's better than Iverson.
You're out of your gourd. There's a get this. Oh, wait.
That's the topic for next week. Okay, we will box this next week. All right, Kyle. I'm not doing this. And big shout outs to my homegirl Ashley Baker because she started this entire debate on Twitter and it blew up like wildfire. Big shout outs to
it was a great bit of clickbait. Sure.
No, it wasn't. It's a legitimate argument. Like I said, we'll do this next week. I will not do this with you next week.
Hey, breathe easier, brother. It's a joke. Come on now.
All right. Let me tell you what's not a joke as I transition before we transition into the show. All right, we talked about the entire NBA. We talked about trades and everything else. I think we hit all 30 teams.
You gave the NBA a lot of love tonight.
Listen, Kyle, we've done the NFL for these shows too. But I'm gonna tell you,
of course we did. I'm not complaining.
Let me tell you someone who was moving today. Micah Parsons in his workout with the.
I knew it. See, damn it! See you and your homerism. I knew you would get. No, hold on. I was kind of hostish, like throwing the damn pitches to Danny Thompson batting practice. Let me get out the way so he could get up on his damn soapbox and preach about how much Micah Parsons needs to be drafted by his hapless Falcons. Go ahead, Ponder.
He ran a 4.39 40 at linebacker. Okay.
That was amazing. Thank you, Danny Thompson. That was exactly what I was hoping for.
The man ran a 4.39. Can we get him a jersey now?
See, it was funny. I saw a tweet. Just a second, Bobby. I saw a tweet of somebody saying, and I forget who it was, but it was like, okay, Atlanta Twitter, hear me out. And it was just a picture of him running the 4.
Yes, my main man. I think it's Eric Robinson over at the Falcon Hall. Big shout
to
him.
You're right. Go ahead, Bobby.
He's going to the Giants.
Why do you say that?
The Giants are picking in front of the Falcons?
What's that? You're getting a quarterback.
You're off my screen. You go too. Off my screen.
I don't. If they do that, Bobby, I would advise against that.
I will have a meltdown after seeing him run a 4.39 40. If they take a quarterback at 4, I'm going to have a meltdown.
Well, which quarterback? Shit, he's gone. Which quarterback are you prescribing? That is being prescribed as the one they're taking? That's my question.
Matt Ryan.
Any of them, because Matt Ryan has 1 year left.
2.
No, Matt Ryan. No, they restructured that contract. All right, that's a $48 million cap hit next year. Ain't nothing going wrong with that one. And no bueno. The man ran a 4.39.
You're getting Kyle Pitts.
That's the Falcon thing to do. Is take another offensive player that runs a 4.46 40. And that was just incredible. 6'6", 240 pounds. Yes, the Falcon thing to do is take another weapon on offense. All right, another tight end that's going to be extremely talented. By the way, the guy
said Kyle Pitts. That's right.
Listen, that's a Falcon thing to do. A guy that can do so many different things, but he can't block. He ain't blocking nobody. All right,
he's not. That's correct.
All right. That it gives Atlanta another weapon? What how many more weapons does Atlanta in your offense?
Like, is it safe to call them the industrial complex because they got a lot of weapons, but they're just not efficient with any of them? Military industrial complex equals the Atlanta Falcons. Boom. And ironically, they're bad at defense.
Yes, because they can't defend anything either. So basically, they come into the country, take what they want. It's basically like kind of like playing capture the flag. You got a whole bunch of people literally just running around trying to catch the flag, and no one realizes where they're going. That's the Falcons right now. All right. Now, mind you, the guy running back in Mike Davis from the Carolina Panthers, which is a surprising move. And they got.
I have no idea how they managed that, dude. I mean, good on your team.
Mike Davis signed basically kind of it's a 2-year deal. I think a lot of people comparing the Mike Davis signing to when Atlanta got Michael Turner a few years ago.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Absolutely.
Listen, if he can do what Michael Turner can do, I am all for it. All right, other news around the NFL this week before we head out here. Kenny Golladay signed with the New York Giants. Okay, here's the thing.
Daniel Jones, bleep or get off the pot. All right?
I mean, listen, the Giants add another weapon. Yes, Bobby is happy. They added another weapon. I mean, they have talent on offense. Daniel Jones has to be able to find somebody. Saquon Barkley to stay on the field. That's all the Giants need to do. Yeah. All right. Other news, the Washington football team is not going to rebrand until 2022, so we're not going to have any what we know. We'll be calling them the Washington Red Tails again for another year.
Cool. And they may extend it. You never know, Danny. You never know, Danny Thompson.
All right. Other things around the league. Andy Dalton's still the Bears quarterback.
That was a cheap shot. Contra, he's coming after you. I'm just letting you know.
Listen, the Bears man post on Twitter talking about QB1 and a picture of Andy Dalton. They deserved every bit of that. Okay,
you're absolutely right, Danny Thompson.
And we're a week away from opening day in baseball.
Meow.
Hater. Damn lion cat. All right, it's baseball time. We'll get into opening day next week. We're getting close to opening day, so it's time for us Mets fans to cheer for the first month of the season until everything.
That was your fault, Danny Thompson. That was your fault.
Listen, I said the Mets. Listen, I'm gonna enjoy the Mets for the first month of the season until my Mets do what the Mets always do.
You said baseball. That's your fault.
And we'll talk baseball. We'll also do a baseball preview next week. Get ready for the upcoming season. So, Kyle, before we go, no Mount Rushmore tonight. We'll spend more time in the Mount Rushmore next week. As we enjoy, Bobby.
Before we go, we need your vote, Colin. I need your vote for next week, for next Monday. Godzilla or King Kong? What's the final verdict, DT?
Is any type of city, any particular cities being blown up this process? Because the one video I did see, I saw Godzilla like having a moment, like an ET type moment, and at that point, I was like, throw the entire damn movie away. All right, it was a King. One of the two had a damn ET moment. I said, throw the damn thing away. All right. Yeah, like what was it? Look, he's supposed to be destroying everything in sight. I don't want an ET moment. No, we don't need that.
King Kong.
I don't care who it was. There's no way that either one of these two humongous creatures should be having a Disney moment. Steph needs to be blown up. Where's Michael Bay when we need him?
Okay? You shut your face, Danny Thompson. That is a bridge too far. Michael Bay. Get him out of here, Blackjack. Come on now.
Who do I pick? I pick whoever causes most destruction. If this would be a straight up fight, Godzilla's taking King Kong. All right. Godzilla blows fire. All right.
He's a nuclear lizard.
All right.
That's the whole point of this whole argument is that Godzilla's like Kyle said, a walking nuclear power plant. King Kong's a big ape.
All right. And he also here's the thing. I don't think Godzilla has a heart. King Kong did, and that's what got him killed the first time. All right. That's all I'm telling you.
Heart doesn't matter, and Kyrie's better than AI.
I mean, as much as I love Allen Iverson, I mean, I don't know what only thing Iverson does better than Kyrie is that no one's had a bigger heart in this game, in the NBA itself, than Allen Iverson. And also, Allen Iverson is right behind Michael Jordan, and I would say Michael Jordan and maybe Magic Johnson when it comes to cultural impact on entire sports. No one, I'm sorry, Dr. J. Outside of Dr. J and Michael Jordan, no one had a bigger cultural impact than Allen Iverson. Iverson could even match Dr. J. I don't know if he touches Jordan, but I think Iverson, his impact on culture. And that's where I think the difference comes in. Iverson is, people look at the on-court and they also add on the culture aspect of this game. All right. Iverson was a great ball player, but Iverson was really technically one good year. You guys team to the finals 1 year.
So one good year, getting yourself to the finals is the only way you could have a good year.
Okay, but that same team that he basically, because the Sixers had to build around him because nobody wanted to play in Philadelphia. Well, he also had the Defensive Player of the Year and the Sixth Man of the Year on the same team as well, too. The year they got to the finals. So when people say, okay, but you have Aaron McKee and you have Dikembe Mutombo. All right, you have a first ballot Hall of Famer and you have the Sixth Man of the Year at the same time. Iverson also went to Denver with Carmelo Anthony, and what did they do out there? Not near nothing. All right. Yes, Kyrie Irving, for whatever he was, yes, he was second fiddle to LeBron James in Cleveland. It is what it is. He was second fiddle. He's second fiddle to Kevin Durant in Brooklyn. Yeah, it is what it is. But as far as
tried to build a team around Kyrie Irving,
huh?
Who's ever tried to build a team around Kyrie Irving?
Well, you got to think that happened. They tried it in Boston, but he got hurt, and then the Celtics got better. They got better during his injury, and they didn't need him anymore. The last time that Kyrie Irving really had a team to himself was in Cleveland, and he was only a rookie. He was really young at those times. He hadn't fully formed and morphed into his development. But what does Kyrie do better than Allen Iverson? He's a better shooter, and that's not even close. Iverson is a volume scorer. Kyrie,
and that's all legitimate. I would ask if that changes, if Iverson plays in a different era. And listen, I'm not saying
Iverson. He was never a shooter. Iverson was a high volume scorer. He had to take 30 shots to score 30 points. Iverson, but now mind you, I think Iverson and Kyrie, when it comes to driving to the basket, is almost equal. Their handle, Iverson's known for the crossover, but Kyrie Irving's handle is completely sick because Godfather is Rod Strickland, one of the best ball handlers I've ever seen in my lifetime. So that's where you got the handle.
I'm not taking handles off of Kyrie. No, I'm not trying to. I'm not here to say that Kyrie is trash. It's the Nets that are. I'm kidding, Bobby. It's a joke.
Here, you can be good if you want to. All right. Shouts where we go. Kyle, your shouts where we go.
Man, listen, shouts out to all the people that are manning these stations for people to get vaccines out there. I know that's a tough job, and you got to enjoy people who are willing to take care of business and do that, so we can do what we can to finally start to see the light at the end of the tunnel with this whole pandemic thing. So there you go. Danny Thompson.
All right. Big shouts to everybody in the chat. Carlos, Sean, hey, Precious, Rodney, Bobby
Good
up in the studio.
contribution tonight too. Absolutely.
I know,
Good
right?
stuff.
Listen, check out Under Construction. And also for those people who do NBA Top Shot collector cards, Rodney did an actual interview with one of the guys that that's big in the community. Check it out if you're trying to get the Top Shot, because Top Shot is now breaking ground when it comes to sports collecting and cards and digitalization. Kyle, there are people buy these Top Shot things for almost $100,000 for certain
I
moments.
still don't completely understand what that is. We'll have to talk off the air, man.
Listen, watch his show, because he did a 45-minute pod yesterday. Outstanding pod that actually would teach you. It was more of a, Kyle, like for you, a beginner version of learning how to do it, because guess what? The NBA's doing it. The UFC is next.
That's interesting.
Dana White's already put his money into it, and the NFL be coming right after that. And can you imagine NFL Top Shot? Ooh-wee.
For defensive players, that would be fun.
Oh no, it's all players. You might even get offensive linemen, pancake blocks.
I am intrigued.
See, exactly. So for myself, Kyle, Bobby up in New Jersey, and everybody stopping by the show, check us out. Like I said, check out the guys' podcast. Like I said, on the I-95 network, and pretty soon we'll be merging I-95 into Blackjack TV. We'll talk to you guys more about it. So we'll see you guys next week, and also check out Kyle and I's work on the 3pointconversion.com, and check out all the writers on the 3-point conversion. So for myself, Kyle, Bobby, we'll see you guys on next Thursday night. Stay safe. Keep wearing masks, and do everything else. And Bobby, hit us up with Brad's Bonanza, please.